Hi everyone, welcome back to a new video, and in this video we'll see first of all how to enable RESTCONF on a Cisco IOS XR router. Then by using Postman we will be retrieving the running configuration of a Cisco router, and then how to make or how to push configuration on a Cisco iOS XE router using Postman. So now first of all, if I give you a quick idea of a RESTCONF is a standardized protocol designed to make the configuration on the networking devices. It is based on HTTP methods, or you can say it is using HTTP or HTTPS protocol as a transport protocol. RESTCONF operations. So in RESTCONF we have the operations like get, post, patch, put, and delete. So in this video we will be exploring the get operation as well as the post operation of RESTCONF protocol using the Postman tool or Postman software. So first of all, let's go to the Cisco IOS XR router and enable RESTCONF. In order to configure the RESTCONF, we have to configure an IP address. First, the router must have an IP address. The IP address can be static or dynamic. Then enable HTTP and HTTPS. Configure authentication method for HTTP, and then enable RESTCONF. So we have two iOS XE router here. First one, this is the CSR router. Let's configure the IP address. So I've connected my CSR router with my desktop. So I'll be getting an IP address through DHCP. IP address DHCP. No shutdown. Exit. Okay, so we can verify the IP address 192.168.236.128. Then IP HTTP server, IP HTTP secure server. Then I'll create a username here. Username admin privilege 15. Password is also admin. IP HTTP authentication local. And the last thing is the RESTCONF. Do show history. So first of all, we said on the interface IP address DHCP, then no shutdown. IP HTTP server, this command will enable HTTP, and IP HTTP secure server, HTTPS will be enabled. The username with privilege level 15 is must. IP HTTP authentication local. It means that for HTTP sessions, you'll perform the authentication using the local database. And in the local database, we have a username admin privilege 15 and password is also admin. So now netconf, not netconf, RESTCONF is enabled using this command, the RESTCONF. Now we can utilize the API methods, or we can send the GET request and as well as the POST request. So let's use the Postman. So this Postman is a very interesting tool. I've already installed it in my laptop. You can download this Postman from internet. Postman download. It's free to use. The basic features are available for free. You can just click on Windows 64-bit and the Postman will be downloaded. It's a very lightweight software which you can install in your laptop. Okay. We'll go to the Postman. In this Postman, first of all, you have to check for few settings. Like you go to edit, file. In files, you will go to the settings. Inside settings, first of all, we will disable SSL certificate verification. Please make sure that this feature is disabled because we are using HTTPS, but HTTPS is not configured properly here. So we would not be able to authenticate the certificates. That's why we said SSL certificate verification disabled. Then you notice here, first we have the get, post, put, patch, delete, head options. So a lot of options are available here. But first of all, we'll be using the get option. We will be using the get option. Like we have configured a username and password here. Username admin, privilege 15, password admin. So you can store these username and password in Postman under this authorization tab. Inside this authorization, you'll choose the basic auth option, and it gives us options to configure username admin and password is also admin. So you can store this username and password here. Sensitive value, right? The password is a sensitive value, so it's giving us a warning. Then headers, very important. The header part is very important here. In case of RESTCONF, So I have opened a document for you guys here. RESTCONF data is encoded with either XML or JSON. We have two options here. Either you can use the XML or you can use the JSON. XML stands for extensible markup language. JSON stands for JavaScript object notations. So now when we are defining this headers, we can choose either XML or JSON. So we have both options available. In this case, I'll go to the headers and I'll select the key values. Accept. We will accept what? Application yang data plus XML. Likewise, you can select application yang data plus JSON. You can define application yang data plus XML or JSON. We have defined both, but you can choose one of them also. Okay, so in the headers we set this. Now when you send the get request, if you're sending the get request, then you will choose it as accept. But if you want to post something, then the key value cannot be accept. The key value will be content type. Here it is. When you push something or when we post the configuration, then we have to define the content type also plus JSON. So let's use JSON here. So we'll use JSON for receiving the data, and as well as we'll use JSON for sending the information to the device when we'll use the post function. Authorization defined, headers defined. If we use the get option, then we don't need this body part. Okay, we just put the get request here. So let's say we have routers. First of all, we are using HTTPS protocol here. Then you have to put the router IP address. In our case, the router IP address is 192.168.236.138. Let's check. Do show IP interface brief. 128. So the IP address is 192.168.236.128. Which protocol we are using here? We are using the RESTCONF protocol. We want to receive the data. Data what? I'm looking for interfaces, let's say. So you will say I want to check all the interfaces. This is the module we defined here, and inside that module we want to see the interfaces. Now I'll send this get request. You click on send, and once you click on send, you see the output here. Gigabit Ethernet 1, Gigabit Ethernet 2, Gigabit Ethernet 3, Gigabit Ethernet 4, and as well as we have a loopback interface on this router. You can verify this here. How many interfaces we have in total? 5. And in the output also you can see name loopback interface 4, 3, 2, 1. Right now the output is in JSON format. If you want to check in XML, you can click on this and you can convert it to XML also. Sorry, this is again JSON, but we can convert, right? But we have selected just one option in the headers. Otherwise we would have able to convert it to XML also. That's how we can check the interfaces detail. You said that, okay, if I want to check the whole running configuration, then what? If you want to check the whole running configuration, you have to change this directory here. You can say data. For running configuration, we have to say iOS XE native. This is the directory we have to access. This directory includes everything, the whole running configuration. And then we say send request. So Cisco iOS XE native version 16.12. Then we have configured a host name also. Before the interfaces, you see the host name here, CSR1. So this is the whole running configuration of our router. The whole running configuration of our router. Right. This is the full running configuration. The username, admin, privilege level 15 already exists here. So that's how we can do what? That's how we can get the running configuration also. That's how we can get the running configuration as well. That's how we can get the running configuration as well. If you'll say, okay, in case if we have two routers, then what? So this time we have two CSR routers. Two CSR routers. Can we have a concept of for loops here? We have a similar concept. We don't have a concept of for loop, which we can use in Python script, but we have option of variables here. We can define the variables by creating an environment. So first of all, let's enable IP HTTP server, IP HTTP secure server, IP HTTP authentication local. Create a username here, admin privilege 15, password admin, RESTCONF, interface gigabit Ethernet 1, IP address DHCP, no shutdown. Do show IP interface brief. So you can see that this router is also getting an IP address 192.168.236.131. So now we have two routers. One router is having an IP address 192.168.236.128 and second router is having an IP address 131. I want to check the running configuration of both of these routers. How? You have to change the IP address here 131 like this. You say 131. So if you put the IP address 131 and you say send request, you'll get the running configuration of the second router. And you notice HTTP code 200. It means that request is successful and the server has responded as required. But instead of writing the IP addresses all the time, we can create environments here. If you click on the left hand side, we have the options of environments. So we have the running configuration of second router also. We can do what? We can create environments here. Right now we are in collection. If we go to the environments and we click on create new environment, routers. Here I can create a variable. Let's say router 1. IP address is 192.168.236.128. Router 2. IP address is 192.168.236.131. So we have created an environment using the name routers. Okay. Then we again go back to the collection where we're running this get request. Inside this get request, instead of giving the IP address, you will define the variables. You'll say router, right? Router 1, router 2, router 3. So it can be anything. And top of it, if you see on the right corner, I'll select the environment. Environment is routers. So if I'm looking for router 1, I'll put router 1 here. It will automatically retrieve the IP address from this environment file. I say send. It's working, right? It's working for the first router. And then I say router 2. It will automatically retrieve the IP address from this environment we have configured. Then you can say send. It will get the running configuration of router 2. So that's how we can check the running configuration of multiple routers using the same URL. We just need to change the IP address. And this IP address can also be a variable value. So that's why we have already defined it inside this environment. We already defined this inside this environment. That's how we can send the get request. in order to push the configuration, let's say you want to push configuration on this Cisco router using this Postman. On second router, we do not have a loopback, I think. This is my CSR. Show IP interface brief. 192.168.236.131, but we don't have a loopback interface. So let's create a loopback interface on this CSR router through this Postman. So first of all, let's do one thing. Let's check the interface again. IETF interfaces. Check for router 1 because we need the pattern, right? We need the data format send. So that's how we create a loopback interface. You have to copy this body part. Then you have to go to the body row. You'll paste it here. But this is not the complete syntax. At the top, we have to put this value also. Control C because this is inside the interfaces. Okay, IETF interfaces, but this time I'm just configuring one interface. So you can change this to interface if you're doing it for one interface only. Then this loopback 99 is already configured on first router. So let's say we are configuring loopback 1. We can also change the IP address. 10.10.10.10, let's say. Subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. If you want to configure an IPv6 address, there's an option for IPv6 also. But this time we don't want to configure an IPv6 address. We just want to create a loopback with IPv4. So this IPv6 part will remain as it is. We'll not make any changes. We'll just create a loopback. This is just one interface. So you can remove this keyword also. Loopback. IETF interface, and okay, on the top of this we have the interfaces. All right, so here we see that if we have some problem with the syntax, it will show us a red line here, right? IETF interface. So when we just create one interface, we don't need all of this stuff. Open, close, okay. IETF IPv6. You can remove the IPv6 also because you don't need IPv6 as well. Done. Now it don't show any red line. So now we can push this configuration. Let's try, but see, change the action also. Post. We want to create this loopback on router 2. So I'll say router 2 and the configuration post. So you will put it inside this body, right? But please make sure that when you are trying to use the post function here or the post operation, then in the headers you have also added a content type. Accept is used for get request and content type is used for post. So please make sure that it's already defined. Then let's say send request. 201 created. So we got an HTTP option here, 201. It means that you were using the post function. A new resource was created successfully. Let's go to the router and verify this. Show IP interface brief. You can see that a loopback has been added on my CSR router. A loopback has been added on my CSR router successfully using the post function. So like this, we can use the get request, we can use the post request. If you have multiple routers, you can just keep change the IP address. Let's say if I want to create one more loopback on my router 1, show IP interface brief. Already we have loopback 99. So let's create loopback 1. So first change the variable router 1 and then loopback 1 IP for router 1. We can configure it as 100.1.1.10 and we can send the request. 201 created. So if you go to router 1, you can check we have a new loopback interface. Loopback 1 with an IP address 100.1.1.10. So that's how we can use the post request. By making few changes, we can push the configuration to first router, then second router, then third router. Likewise, if you're configuring routing protocols, in that case also, it will work perfectly fine. You have to just change the parameters. You just need to change the parameters. Just need to change the parameters. That's all for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like the video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as like the video. Okay, thank you for your time.